I am so close to starting the source material of the show. In just 2 episodes for this series, it has blown me away at every turn. It's nothing necessarily revolutionary. It doesn't completely change the genre. It doesn't change anything fundamentally to where it's like, oh, this is groundbreaking beyond belief. But the very core of Shangri-La Frontier feels just like everything that should entertain you. Like, if you love this type of anime, like if you love characters experiencing a world, exploring a world, and just discovering new things when it comes to like maybe items, to creatures, to people within the world, it's very immersive. And it's really hard to fully describe, but when anime does this, especially for me, I really, really just love that. It's one of those core feelings that I always seek when I am just watching or reading something. And Shangri-La really does do that. These 2 episodes that came out is just, it's so much fun. It is literally, that is the word that comes to my mind, is that it is just fun. Like, the way these scenes are done, and the way the voice acting is done, and just the feeling and vibe it gives me, it reminds me a lot of just so many different games I played over the years, and I think that's a legitimate good thing. And let's kind of talk about that. Shangri-La Frontier, as I talked about my first impressions I made last week, I said that, the first episode definitely was created by someone that loves gaming. Like, just everything by the presentation of episode 1, it felt like the author, which I want to actually find out. Like, I have the mal for the anime pulled up, but actually, let's see who the author is, because I actually don't even know. Okay, author. Fuji Rosku. Oh, wow, it's 2 people working on it. Okay, that's crazy. Okay, let's look at the writer. This offer here, Katarina, is such a good offer. Only thing they've worked on, by the way. That's interesting. But, what I'm trying to get at is that it's very clear that this author that wrote Shangri-La Frontier is a huge gamer. Like, absolutely loves to game. Like, it is their passion on the side when they're not probably working on their series, because just with the way the first episode is presented, it just gives that. There's a lot of little nods here and there. And episode 2, which I have pulled up here, carries that notion. It carries those themes and vibes, and it's one of the big reasons why I find this series so immersive, relatable, and enjoyable. Because, like, you're not going to tell me, if you've played your fair share of games over the years, okay? I'm willing to bet, like, anyone that watches anime or reads manga probably does like gaming to an extent, okay? I'm going to assume. And I wouldn't say necessarily statistically speaking, it's rare for an anime fan to not like RPG games. I'm assuming most anime fans will like RPGs, especially if you're watching a show like this. And so, if you have played RPGs and stuff, yeah, we know about the typical boss monsters, the snakes, etc., poison, toxin, but everything about this engagement with the MC going up against this snake, to, like, when he finds a spot where he needs to do crits at, and he starts, like, stabbing the snake between the scales and stuff, this whole scene reminds me of Monster Hunter World. I don't know how many people have played Monster Hunter World, mainly Iceborne, but, like, I'm not going to stay too deep on that because I know people didn't click on this video for Monster Hunter knowledge, but basically this entire scene where the MC is facing the snake, it feels like a Monster Hunter World fight, where, the character is going up against a giant monster, having to figure out its weakness, its attack patterns, how to bring it down, and then, he needs to soften up its hide to be able to actually do damage, which there's a lot of creatures within Monster Hunter that you have to do that. Like, you have to tenderize their side when you, like, clutch claw onto them to be able to do a lot of damage to certain body parts on them. So, seeing this entire sequence of events with the MC basically trying to open up the monster and do crit damage, I'm like, yo, this legit reminds me of Monster Hunter. And it doesn't just stop there, the Monster Hunter comparisons. When the MC goes to, like, get daggers and stuff, like, he upgrades his equipment and all that, he gets these, these marsh-like knives or whatever, and on the description of it, it says that every time he gets a crit, the durability doesn't go down. And once again, I don't know necessarily if the author has played Monster Hunter, but that very detail is legit like a passive in Monster Hunter. Like, if anyone doesn't know, like, I believe it's a gym It's like one of the gym sockets you could put in a weapon or armor, I believe, and people love to use it for like the longsword or katana, and you don't lose any durability, weapon durability, or sharpness while you're fighting when you hit crit spots, aka tenderizing the meat or something. So, like, when you see like, this element within this episode, it really does make me believe that the author does love Monster Hunter. I get that vibe from the way just this episode is presented. It really does feel that way. But also, it feels very much in line with, like, Dark Souls. It feels very Dark Souls-esque, and I mean, even having, like, people commenting on the MC's attire, I think is very interesting. Like, bringing this up, people start talking about how, like, is that a meme build? Is he just trying to do a meme? Which, reminds me a lot of Let Me Solo Her. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's from Elden Ring. The guy that put on the pot and he would go after Melania, Blade of Mikula, and, just, fight. Literally solo one of the hardest bosses in Elden Ring. Like, just everything about the concept and the environment of this show really does feel fully in line with just gaming culture in general. This anime legit is made for gamers and probably by a gamer themselves that really knows what people enjoy and love. And I like that. It's nice to see, not these themes just being kind of slightly used. It shows there is a passion deep underneath all of this that is really being displayed, but also the extra mile that the animators are doing for this show and doing these little details here and there also shines through, and it shows that the staff that is working on this loves gaming just as much as the author. So, yeah, I don't know. I know that's a long tangent I just made, but this episode legit it blows me away by how entertaining it really is. And I feel like a lot of game companies in general, honestly, can just learn from the concept of what this anime does and what people actually enjoy. Now, let's actually talk about a few little details here, okay? So, the MC... the whole point of this episode is him obviously just trying to get stronger. And once again, this goes back to what I said at the beginning of the video. This entire anime isn't revolutionary. It isn't trying to break the norm or cliches, the generic tropes, etc. It's not. Because it's like, technically at its core, if we really want to look at this, this is a power fantasy. That's what it is. This is a power fantasy anime of a character getting slowly stronger in probably very ridiculous ways. I mean, he literally is a meme build, technically, not wearing any clothing and just having, like, a mask on. So when you just think about how this, series is presented, this episode is him just collecting materials, defeating hard enemies, not technically going out of his way to beat the strongest enemy there is, but he's progressing at a gradual rate. And I do like the slow, subtle progression throughout this episode, to him, like, defeating that area boss, to him eventually realizing he's poisoned and he has to run into town to get fixed. And let's be honest, I doubt, anyone can't, like, sympathize with the character, like the MC, because it's like, if you've played RPG games, you probably have faced a status element of, like, getting poisoned. I know I've had that happen to me in Pokemon, where, I played Red and Blue when I was a kid, and I was in, like, the Zubat Cave or whatever, and, basically, I think it was Mount Moon. I believe it was Mount Moon I was in. But, like, I got poisoned or something, and, like, I was walking around, and I blacked out. My character blacked out because poison. It just, I have experiences with that. Or you have stuff like the Lake of Rot in Elden Ring, where if you try to navigate that zone, you just get completely poisoned, and oh my goodness, the amount of times I have died down there because of just the poison is absolute ridiculous, especially if you want to collect all the items. Like, you gotta do a death run, and it's insane. So it's just, I feel like this element, too, is very relatable, and I like that. There's just these little things throughout this episode that really just feels like what a typical gamer would experience while playing a game, especially an RPG. Now, fundamentally, besides all of that, we do have stuff at the end of the episode which kind of navigates into another game. It reminds me a lot of, like, Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy 15, to be exact. If anyone has played Final Fantasy 15, you know how, like, there's the time system where day and night, and at night, crazy demons and monsters come out, and the very elements of the end of this episode kind of reminded me of that, with, like, very powerful monsters coming out at night. And I know the concept was before 15, but I do feel like, a lot of the way this does, it reminds me of Final Fantasy 15, just the way it's presented. And I also like this in-game boss. Like, we see here, like, at the end, we have, like, this very wolf-like creature appear, and it's apparently a unique monster. And at the end of the episode here, it states that no unique monster has technically been defeated yet. That's at least my understanding of what I got from the dialogue. So it seems like the overall story has not progressed whatsoever, because nobody's been able to defeat a unique monster. Now, I don't know necessarily why that is. Maybe it's because unique monsters are really hard, or maybe they're just so rare to actually find one is ridiculous, or maybe there's some special, prerequisites to be able to find a unique monster. I don't really know, but the big point is that the MC is about to fight an area boss that seems to probably be ridiculous. Will he die? Will he be able to defeat it? Who knows? But it's obviously going to have some significance for the plot progression of the world because of the dialogue at the end of the episode, which happens right here. Oh yeah, another thing I do want to talk about is the AI, which, the MC even talks about. And I think that this is very important. He literally talks about how, like, man, this AI, what kind of AI does this, game use? Because it seems very advanced. Like, the full conversations that this guy has with him didn't feel very shallow or anything, even given, like, small little minor world detail stuff about, like, upgrades or how it feels like, raising instead of upgrades. I think that's really cool. There's little details here and there, and the MC kind of noticing that, I feel like is going to play a huge part in the story going forward as well, probably with AI, etc. But, yeah, overall, I know I went on a long tangent technically about gaming, but that is what Shangri-La Frontier is about. It's very apparent that this is exactly what the series has to offer, and if you are a gamer, you will love this, like, especially if you're an RPG game lover. This is a phenomenal show. It's not groundbreaking, but it's good. It's very good. I would say that this is kind of like that dark horse of the season. Came out of nowhere. I don't think anyone truly expected this to be as good as it is, but it is. It's kind of blowing. It blows my mind away. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. May all of you have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe. Stay healthy. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Chibi out.